And I remember he told me, he goes, Landon, I promise you that if you and your wife are not on the same page, the Lord will not open any doors for you. And it took me a minute. I just remember thinking, I just, if it's for his glory, if it's me serving, the kingdom. But he was 100% right. And again, I mean, humility plays a huge part of it. Even today, me, our associational mission strategist, Frank Knuckles for the Flint River Baptist Association, and another partner at a church another pastor at a church we partner with. We meet about every month. But even today, I find it important to keep people around, to keep me humble, to hold me accountable as a pastor, to make sure that I'm still getting fed, and making sure that I'm taking care of myself. So humility is a huge part of this role.
Hey there, welcome to the Two Pastors Unplugged podcast. Today we're going to talk with Pastor Landen Baynard. He is the lead pastor at Brooks Baptist Church. Brooks is in Fayette County, right there near Peachtree City and Fayetteville. And it's been 20 years since I've been through Brooks. But I think, to me, it has always been a cool little town. We're going to talk about, well, whatever we want to talk about. Right, Landon? We're just going to talk.
Sure. Thank you, Rick, for having me here on the podcast. I know Tom Griffin put us in contact with each other. Love Tom. Grateful for the friendship I have with him. So super excited for the opportunity to kind of get to know you a little better. And yeah, just be a part of this. I appreciate it.
Well, Tom thinks a lot of you. Those of you that don't know, you're watching or listening, Tom is a part of the Salem staff in Atlanta, and he is an all-around good guy. He speaks highly of Pastor Landon. Before we get into the church and, so many things that you being called to lead and compelled to serve. So I was on your Facebook page and I saw you on the ice in January with this blooper video, which I thought was hysterical. I watched it and watched it and watched it. And I said, I like this guy. He really doesn't take himself too serious. He's a serious man when it comes to Christ and the gospel, but he's okay with having fun. So I've signed you up, Pastor, for the 2026 Milan, Italy ice skating competition. So I just want you to get ready for that. Now, you're going to have to tell Melissa is, of course, his wife, that you're going to have to do a lot of training. And but I think by 2026, I think you'll be good.
Yes, sir. Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. We've done a couple ice skating dates together up in Atlanta. So I have not fallen, and I haven't fallen, hit my head, or got scraped up any. So I don't know about Milan, but I'm definitely okay ice skating.
Now, this clip, if you're watching or listening, go to his Facebook page and you'll see, I think you were promoting something for the church and you had somebody filming and you were kind of half running toward the camera to slide, which was really cool. But there was a lot of bloopers in it. I got to tell you, thanks for keeping that on there because that was entertaining.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So that was, here in Georgia, we don't really get much snow. We get a ton of ice when it decides to, get that cold.
Yeah.
So we weren't really expecting it. It kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody really believed the weatherman or the weather reports, on that. So when it happened, we had a lot of people who had a lot of power outages.
Yeah.
Of course, being in Georgia, people weren't ready for it. And that particular night, there were a lot of people leaving vehicles. They were on the side of the road in Peachtree City and Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And we are is perfectly between those two because I don't live in Brooks. So I just wanted to let people know, hey, we're here to love on you guys, and I'll talk about that a little bit later if we end up getting to it. But
yeah,
we're here to love on you guys and let you, to help you if you need it. So, really unique opportunity.
You're listening to Two Pastors Unplugged, a podcast that we have put together just to be with the pastors that are just serving so many precious folks, answered the call of God. I think it was a year ago, was it, that you were placed there at Brooks Baptist Church. You went to Liberty, if I read that correctly. Aren't you graduated in Liberty, and then you ended up being senior pastor? What, last year? Has it been an entire year yet, or no?
So Sunday actually marks a year that I will have been the pastor there at Brooks Baptist.
Wow!
So, yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, sir. My wife and I were just talking about that last night. It is crazy. growing up, I always heard, my parents or really older people say, oh, time flies, enjoy it while you're young, and I
Yeah.
never believed them. And it has been a year. It is just wild, but the Lord has deeply blessed us in this journey with Brooks, and um, I don't know everything. I'm actually still enrolled with Liberty. I'm getting my Master's of Divinity right now,
All right.
with a background in aviation. Air traffic
Yes,
control
I
is one
saw
of my
that.
degrees, and
Yes.
aviation management.
Yes.
Um, so of course, wasn't expecting that route. But again, here we are. We're blessed. So
Yeah, you went to Middle Georgia State University, and you studied air traffic management. And I'm not sure what that is. Now, my dad, in fact, he's still alive. He's not an air traffic controller any longer because he's 88, but he was an air traffic controller. But tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll get into Brooks Baptist Church stuff.
yeah, so it was a really neat experience. Leaving college, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I was torn between aviation. Growing up, I was part of the Civil Air Patrol, and my wife and I are still members. That's where we met. That is a program similar to Air Force JROTC. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
youth development program.
Mm-hmm.
Sparked my interest in piloting or becoming an air traffic controller, doing something aviation related. So went to school for that at Middle Georgia. It was between that or becoming a lawyer. Too many moral dilemmas when it came to law, as
Sure.
far as some of the cases I would have to defend.
Yeah.
I did an internship with a law firm for just a short while in high school, and ended up aviation. So I went to Middle Georgia. It was only another year for me to get my bachelor's after that. So I figured, hey, I'm here. I have time. Might as well
Sure.
knock it out.
Yeah.
Air traffic has a pretty big weight right now. I believe, if I remember correctly, 2021 and 2022, they had over 150,000 applicants and only send invitation letters out to about 1,000 after testing.
My gracious.
So it's competitive right now, even with a degree in air traffic. So that's originally what I went for, and had plenty of time waiting around. And the Lord opened and closed many doors, and eventually ended up at Brooks.
Now, Are you flying at all? Are you learning to fly? Where are you there?
Right now, of course, a PPL is a little bit expensive,
Yeah.
to go through the training for that. So,
Yes.
with everything else we do in life, and then considering cost, I may go after it a little bit later, but I'm not pursuing that now. No, sir.
Now I live in right now I live in Loganville, and we have a farm down at the end of the road. There's only about eight to 10 houses. And the guy that has the farm there, he has horses, and it's a farm, but he loves aviation, and he has built this little contraption. I don't know if it's like a Briggs and Strat lawnmower engine, and you put it on some wheels and wings, but he will fly that thing around. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if he needs. I don't think he has a pilot's license. So maybe.
It's not one of the paragliders with the big fan on the back of it, is it?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we have a gentleman that flies over Peachtree City regularly, and I just hats off to him. He is a brave soul for doing that. I don't know that I could do that, but it sure does look like fun. And he posts some beautiful pictures on Facebook. So,
Hey, we hear that you're loving Two Pastors Unplugged, so we want to remind you to hit the subscribe button right there on the bottom and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're an audio only, we love you. Thank you for listening to us. And you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. And there's a new episode that drops every Tuesday morning, so look out for that. And hey, thanks for listening. Now, back to the show. Pastor Landen is the lead pastor at Brooks Baptist Church. You can go on YouTube and watch some of his messages. I was watching him. He's going through the Gospel of John. I was watching one of the videos, and as I look at the congregation, Pastor, it looks like that there's a wide demographic, that it's not, just the folks that are my age and older, us boomers. Just put us out in the pasture and we'll be good. But it looks like that you've got some young folks in there. And what's been your experience so far?
so I wasn't originally planning to get into ministry. I had felt calling at different points in my life, and I'm not one of those that I directly fled. I wasn't looking to be anything, crazy or cool, but I couldn't really see myself as a pastor. Um, I'd been involved in the church a lot with youth activities and serving in different capacities, and um, ended up getting into conversation with a couple pastors about going into ministry and the thoughts, and it eventually led me to Brooks Baptist. I had no plan of becoming any part of staff at Brooks, but the interim is a dear mentor, Oscar. Oh, I love him and his wife so dearly. Um, Oscar was attending at the time. He asked if I'd come listen to him preach one Sunday. Well, it just so happened that he was sick that Sunday and didn't let me know. So I listened to the pastor, got to meet everybody. My first Sunday there, there were 3 staff. So the supply pastor filling in for Oscar. There was the music minister and the pianist. And then in the crowd were 3 other people, and I was part of the 3. So, there were 6 of us total. It was a complete shock coming from a church of, about 1,500 people,
Mm-hmm.
and serving there. So it was a little different. I'd grown up in the Baptist church, and, small churches didn't scare me, but I'd never been to one where I was, one of 6. Um, so that was my first experience with Brooks. Oscar called me and said, I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up. You were at the right place. I hope you would come and join us next Sunday. And I just so happened to be available the next Sunday. I wasn't playing piano at the church that I was with at the time. And it really just developed into me being called to ministry there. I was asked to lead worship one Sunday, and that was the first time Melissa had joined me at Brooks. I was just kind of popping in and listening to Oscar in the meantime. My wife absolutely loved, seeing me in that capacity, not as a pastor, but, just leading a service occasionally. And Oscar, I'd say it had to be end of November, told me that he was going to be out on New Year's Eve. That just happened to be a Sunday, and asked if I'd be comfortable preaching. Whew, that was a big, big scare for me. It just, I didn't feel qualified, right? I'm not an awful person, but I am a sinner. I've never been perfect. And, to me, what I had seen in pastors was far past anything that I had in me. So I told him I would pray about it, and he didn't really give me a choice. I will say he nudged me pretty hard, and I finally agreed to it. I prayed about it, and at the time, my wife was very adamant that I would not be a pastor. She wouldn't be a pastor's wife. That's just not. We were a little divided on that, and that is part of our testimony. So that was part of it. Prayed about it. Did the sermon. I think my first draft of the sermon was about 32 pages. My average sermon is about 10 if I sit down and write it. So I was a little over, shortened it. It was a very bland sermon. I read a lot straight from the notes. But it was a really neat opportunity that Oscar gave me in that moment to start out what would eventually become me becoming the pastor at Brooks. So, yeah.
Well, here it is a year later. And I mean, the scripture. God looks at the heart. You've got a huge heart, and you're such a great man. As we talk, when you were throwing this around and you were asked to at first to play, and then eventually to preach. I love that you asked other pastors that you trusted and ask for their input. And sometimes that's not the norm when folks get in the ministry, because it's almost like, okay, well, I'll just build a little wall of protection, or because I don't want to seem like I don't know it all. But humility, you're humble in the sense that you would ask somebody to their input and you to help them out. Talk about that as a leader yourself, how important that is to talk to folks that have more experience and farther up the road. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it is incredibly important. I've learned. I'm not going to sit here and lie. There's times where I'm prideful, times where I've walked away from a sermon and I'm like, that was really good. I kind of impressed myself. For me to get in the car with my wife and she said, that's probably one of the worst sermons you've preached. So there's a lot of humility connected. Going back to one of the reasons that I sought advice from pastors is when Oscar asked me to lead worship, I was actually in the middle of the application process, the interview process for becoming a music minister at another church.
Hmm.
My passion is music. I love it. That's where I feel the closest to God is in worship. I'm a pianist. I was classically trained. I don't have a terrible voice. I still don't think it's the best. But that's where I thought the Lord was calling me. And my wife and I were terribly divided on this. She said, "I'm not leaving the church we're at. That's something you have to do. I feel like you're rushing into this." And I 100% was. I admit that was probably a moment where I was thinking about myself, just out of excitement. Um, and the pastor that married my wife and I, Kevin, again, him and his wife are just amazing resources and have been amazing friends in our walk and our journey together as a couple. And I remember sitting down with Kevin over lunch one day, and I said, "Kevin, I just do not understand this. Everything was going well. They liked me. I felt like this is where the Lord was calling me." And I remember he told me, he goes, "Landon, I promise you that if you and your wife are not on the same page, the Lord will not open any doors for you." And it took me a minute. I just remember thinking, I just, if it's for His glory, if it's me serving, the kingdom. But he was 100% right.
Yeah.
And the next day, I remember Oscar and I got together to talk about some Civil Air Patrol business. He's our squadron chaplain, so him and I went to meet about that and talk about it. We spoke about that for 15 minutes in Brooks Baptist Church for 3.5 hours.
Mm.
It was an incredible journey. And again, I mean, humility plays a huge part of it. Even today, me, our associational mission strategist, Frank Knuckles for the Flint River Baptist Association, and another partner at a church another pastor at a church we partner with, we meet about every month. We're walking through a book together called Gospel-Centered Discipleship by Jonathan Dodson. It's an amazing book. But even today, I find it important to keep people around, to keep me humble, to hold me accountable as a pastor, to make sure that I'm still getting fed, and making sure that I'm taking care of myself. So humility is a huge part of this role.
Pastor Landen Baynard is the lead pastor of Brooks Baptist Church. You can go to brooksbaptist.org. Also check out YouTube to see some of the services there. Let's talk about the people. What has moved you the most, you think, in the last year with the people that you are shepherding or pastoring?
That is a loaded question right there. Part of it, a huge part of it, is the fact that and I've been to churches. I try to say this without bias. Of course, there is a little bit of bias involved, but we have a congregation that loves everyone. We have one particular lady in our congregation that the second somebody new walks through the door, you'd call her our greeter, if you were at a bigger church.
Mm-hmm.
She can tell you everything about that person, their birthday, anniversary, everything about that person. She lets them know that they are seen and that they are loved. We have several people who do a great job at that, doing that at the church. We have people who are willing to serve, who join me on the market days. We have people who, after the storm went through Augusta and of course devastated them for 2 or 3 weeks, we had a team that took the work off, went with me. We had monetary donations from the association, the community of Brooks, from the church. We did a very quick drive for clothing, food, hygiene products that our members selflessly gave to the community. Again, gave to that. We have members that are willing to do that, and to me, it is just incredible to have a congregation that is active, that recognizes the importance of being a part of your community, loving on your community. And really, if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't be where we are. But if it wasn't for them being good believers, if it wasn't for them being faithful to the Lord and what He has called them individually to do, I don't think we would be where we are today.
Love that. Pastor Landen Baynard of Brooks Baptist Church. Just about a minute or two, Pastor. What's next for you? What are you excited about? Here we are. Well, I guess we're looking at what? April 2025. We're moving into summer here pretty soon. What are you excited about there for the church as you move forward?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. One of the big things we do is we participate in the Brooks Market Days. That's third Saturday of every month from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We get out. We've done various things. We've handed out, cold sodas, waters. We've done popcorn, cotton candy, snow cones, coffee, in the colder months. So we are looking forward, after a little break during the winter, we are looking forward to getting back in the community, loving on everybody, speaking to people. I'm a huge talker, in case you haven't picked up on that. I love getting to know people. So I'm pumped for that. June 16th through the 21st from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are hosting a vacation Bible school. We are focusing on ocean commotion. We're looking at the story of Noah and the ark. As far as I know, this is the first vacation Bible school that Brooks has done in I don't know how long, at least 20 years.
Wow.
So we're really excited for that. We have, again, partnered with local churches for help, and we are looking forward to that. So yeah, that's kind of what our short-term future looks like for us there at Brooks.
I love that you're a part of the community, and I mean, that is so important. It really, really is. I was not brought up in church. I came to Christ when I was 22 years old, but I do remember going to, and I don't even remember the denomination. It was a vacation Bible school, and I was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9. And I just loved it, and it made such a huge impact. That stuck with me all those rough years in between. And to me, VBS is just it's crucial. It really, really is, reaching out to to young children, and they won't forget. It'll be planted in their heart. And all the sodas you're giving out and the popcorn, those people will walk away. And you think they didn't get it, but you know what? They really did. You planted a huge seed. Pastor, we love you. We appreciate you. I love that you're a talker, and that's awesome, because you're touching so many people's lives. Blessing to you and Melissa and your entire congregation there at Brooks. And I would love to have you back on the show again. And if I really do think you could do well at the 2026 Winter Olympics, but we'll talk about that later on. You're such a great guy. We appreciate you. Check out brooksbaptistchurch.org, Pastor Landen Baynard, and the entire team, the congregation, just very, very precious. They really are. Well, that wraps up another podcast, and it was a good one. Join us for the next one. It's Two Pastors Unplugged. I'm Rick Probst. See ya. That's a wrap of this episode of Two Pastors Unplugged. But hey, don't stop here. You can click the next video and the next one and the next one. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and to the podcast, just search Two Pastors Unplugged on your favorite app. And we want to connect with you during the week. So go to @FaithTalk Atlanta, and we are everywhere across the board. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.